What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of Them Nerds. Today is our Top 5 Tuesday, and coming off of last week's Top 5 Marvel costumes, this week we will be talking about our Top 5 DC costumes. I'm coming to you live here from the Fortress of Solitude, or as some wise man once told me, the lair of testicular fortitude. Here we are. It's really cold. Anyway, all right. So, Jerry, I'm going to let you start us off here. Number 5 on your list. Who you got?
Lex Luthor's war suit. It was a suit of armor that's like kind of like picture it being like the Hulkbuster armor without a helmet, because Lex Luthor is so vain that he still wants people to know who's in the costume.
He has a wonderful haircut too.
Yes. And it was alien technology that he was able to turn into a suit that made him as strong as Superman. And during one battle in particular, he was able to inject or put a ejection button in it to shoot himself out of it to escape Superman. So I mean, it's multifunctioning like a so.
It's a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, why not see that on? We've seen how cool Hulkbuster armor can look on a Marvel film. Let's see the same for a DC film.
Right. Yeah, and this is a topic for another show, but I can't wait until they get a really comic accurate Lex Luthor in a modern DC film. Waiting for that. I actually didn't mind old Jesse Eisenberg. Is it Jesse Eisenberg that played him?
Yeah.
I didn't mind his portrayal, I guess, but it's totally different. It was played differently, so it doesn't seem even much like the same character to me. But yeah, I'd love to see Chrome Dome, rich guy, Lex Luthor.
Yeah, it's like, seeing Kingpin on Daredevil. I mean, when you hit the right actor in the right spot, you're like, oh man, this is the character. So
yes, absolutely. Cool. So for my number 5, I went with a familiar character, but a probably less familiar iteration, Green Lantern. But I went with the Jessica Cruz version of Green Lantern, introduced in 2014, so it's a relatively new character. Her costume has the regular Green Lantern styling, but to me it stands out not only because it's female, she's a female character, and it reminds me a lot of Captain Marvel. The coolest thing about this costume for me, and I guess it's not really part of the costume, I don't know, is she has like the glowing green eye. And so that iteration of Green Lantern really stands out to me. Honorable mention, when I was looking at, doing Green Lantern, the Guy Gardner Green Lantern costume also was one that I considered doing he has that weird like vest thing with the like high collar. It looks like a marching band uniform meets Green Lantern, which I'm fine with. All right, number 4. What do you got?
I have a character that has now been debuted on a DC film, Birds of Prey, which is the Huntress. But the way that they went for Huntress in that movie was kind of more of like an emo girl. Like, I don't know if they really delved into the fact of her character, but I think a common accurate Huntress with a cowl, the crossbody suit with the long cape, and to kind of be in the same realm as like a Batman costume, rather than this idea of just like bitter ex-girlfriend that we got in the Birds of Prey movies.
Yeah, that would be cool. That's a great character. My number 4, speaking of kind of emo and bitter looking, I guess he's not really emo, he's just angry. Lobo. Number 4, I have Lobo. I love the kind of biker anti-hero armor, spikes and little grenades and everything that he has all over him. He looks like if Wolverine like let his hair grow out and didn't get enough sleep. That's what Lobo always reminds me of. But I love the whole look, and it's one that I hope that we can get again a comic accurate version in live action. I'd love to see it.
I think that they could definitely do it in the realm of like a Deadpool kind of movie.
Yeah. There's all kinds of goofy Lobo stuff that happens in the comics. There's an arc where he's Lil Lobo, L-I''L, and he gets like magically transformed into a teenager, and he joins the the Teen Titans. Comic books are great. All right, numero trace. What do you got?
Keeping on my track of bitter ex-girlfriends, I went with Nightwing, Dick Grayson. Always a bridesmaid. We've seen him in different iterations of being, Batman and other characters, but his Nightwing character, I think, is one of those characters for a long time when people weren't even really talking about DC Comics at all. They were always talking about Nightwing. Is this because you had all the things that were cool about Robin's character, where he was this, amazing acrobat and everything else. But also like this guy who's like beating people up with nunchucks and nightsticks, and so that's the classic black and blue costume. I think needs to be brought out, and it really I know that we kind of had the feeling at the end of the Batman movies with help me out, what was that guy's name? That guy,
Christian Bale.
Yeah, Christian Bale. That the character was hinted at maybe being introduced at the very end of it, but obviously that never went anywhere. So I think that's a character that deserves some screen time.
Your Christian Bale is about on the same level as my Christian Slater.
Justice. I think mine's better. Thank you.
All right. Well, speaking of Nightwing, we haven't seen him in the movies, but we did get a glimpse of him in the television show Titans in the last season that we've seen. And they really strung it along. Dick Grayson, has been one of the main characters in that show since its inception. And then he had this whole struggle of being Robin, not being Robin, being Robin, not being Robin. And then especially with Jason Todd being on that show, there was always this sort of, who's going to be Robin, and the relationship with Robin, the character was different. And then we finally got this scene, the reveal scene of the Nightwing costume, and it was dope. I love that show. That's a great show.
Yeah, I need to check that one out.
Yes. So my number 3 is kind of a cult favorite, which is weird because he's been around for a long time. And it's Blue Beetle. I in particular chose the second Blue Beetle, Ted Kord. I love the first Blue Beetle had kind of that like old 40s and 50s, every single comic book hero look, the mask and the cape and the jumpsuit with the long leg, the long pants and everything, long sleeves, 2 colors and so on. And I like the second iteration of Blue Beetle because he has like the kind of cutout of the beetle, like in the suit, the 2 colors. And then he's got these like bright yellow bug-eyed goggles, and I love it. Honorable mention to Booster Gold. I wasn't even going to do like a tie here with both of them together because they're always together. He's a cool character. One of my favorite little nuggets about him was when his corpse was exhumed and he was turned into a Black Lantern, which was also a super cool look. But I really, I'm nowhere near as big a DC fan as I am a Marvel fan, and I think you're probably in the same boat. Yeah. But when I think of DC, beyond the normal heroes that everybody knows, the first one that always pops into my mind is Blue Beetle. And it's because of this look, specifically this version of Blue Beetle, those big buggy eyes. Buggy eyes. I can, even if I bug my eyes out, they don't look buggy.
That's a thyroid problem.
All right. Who do you have at number 2?
I have Martian Manhunter from the New 52. They did a play off his original costume, but they made it much more sleek looking, much more futuristic looking. But they also changed his whole body style also to be much more intimidating and a little bit more alien looking. And so I think that would be read, amazingly on TV, or not TV, I'm sorry, in the movies especially. I guess maybe even on the TV, they're doing things now too on HBO and everything still. It's definitely something that I think that people would want to see is, a more adult version of Martian Manhunter than we're seeing right now, on the Supergirl series.
Right. Yeah, Martian Manhunter was one of my favorite comic book characters as a kid. The New 52 take on him was pretty cool. I would love to see that. Speaking of different takes on familiar characters, like that segue, my number 2 is Batman. Which Batman, you might ask? Nobody's asking that. I'm choosing the Batman specifically from Flashpoint. This is the Batman who had the moniker the Knight of Vengeance. And this Batman was not Bruce Wayne. This Batman was Thomas Wayne. In Flashpoint, Thomas and Martha Wayne in the alley, the famous scene, you know, they were not killed. Bruce Wayne was killed. And so Thomas Wayne decides to take up this mantle of Batman and take vengeance upon Joe Chill, who was the murderer in the comics of Thomas and Martha, and then in this version of Bruce. The costume is so rad. It's very much like the classic Batman, but it has all of these red highlights. The shoulders have kind of a spike to them, and it really accentuates how this is not the normal, like, you know, out for justice Batman. This is the, like, I am going to effing kill you Batman.
Yeah.
And, you know, one of my favorite little twists, you know, Flashpoint and all of these, like, you know, Crisis and all of these different DC events, they always just like totally flip the table on what's going on, and they have all these weird, you know, alternate things. I mean, Marvel does it too, but DC really, they're just like, let's just destroy everything.
Yeah. Every 3 weeks.
Right. They're due for another new 52, aren't they? My favorite thing about the Flashpoint Batman is that Martha Wayne becomes the Joker. Yeah.
Yeah, that is crazy.
She like loses her mind and like etches out the smile, and she ends up like, she paralyzes Catwoman. She's crazy. It's good stuff.
Yeah, that's wild.
So this brings us
morbid.
Yeah, right. This brings us to number one. Jerry, what's your number one?
Poison Ivy. I have a specific Poison Ivy in particular. It's the Heroes in Crisis Poison Ivy from the Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy series. In that series, during Heroes of Crisis, Poison Ivy is killed, and she regrows herself like a plant. And oh, sorry.
That's appropriate.
Yeah, and so she's, you know, much more, you know, botanical. I don't know if that's a good word for it or not. You know, but
she becomes the herbal essences version of herself.
Yeah. So Lex Luthor ends up giving her like an enhanced fertilizer that she grows her armor from. So she looks like herself, but now she actually has like you know, she's not just walking around in a leotard of foliage from Michaels. She's like, you know, actually like protected. So but yet she also like it's like the whole look is different. She has like a slight green tint to herself because she's more plant-like than human-like now. So I think that that's the way to go with her.
That's cool.
Yeah,
I like that a lot. My number one. My very favorite DC character when I was a kid was Dr. Fate. I love the whole look. The blue and gold costume with the cape, that cool like conquistador looking helmet. I loved it. It was one of my favorite action figures when I was a kid too. But as much as I love that look, the costume that I've chosen for my number one is the Earth 2 Dr. Fate. This is a guy named Khalid Ben Hassin, and he is different than the original Dr. Fate costume in some really like subtle ways, but some really important ways. He still has kind of that blue and gold look, but there's a lot more like gold ornamentation. You know, Dr. Fate is a magician. He's a sorcerer. He's a wizard, right?
Yeah.
You're a wizard, Dr. Fate. And he, I mean, looking over his like list of powers, you know, I was just like refreshing myself with some of the stuff, you know, about these characters today. Like, you know, I like D&D. The guy does an Eldritch Blast, which is like a warlock power in D&D. Like he has all these like goofy, like stereotype magic things. And he's supposed to be this like ancient Egyptian, like scion of magic, right? And in this Earth 2 version, he has all these like on his shoulders and his belt. He has like this big gigantic gold belt, like he just, you know, won the world title in WCW or something back in the day. Dr. Fate is the character from DC that I am the most excited about actually seeing on screen in some substantive way. And I hope that they take their guidance from this costume. Not necessarily this iteration of the character, but this costume, because it really looks like a, you know, fairly immortal, you know, magic user who's out, you know, trying to shape the events of the universe.
Yeah, you know, and that's what you're saying is right. You know, especially with DC, they have to get away from shying away from comic accurate costumes, and you know, similar to how Fox did with their properties, where they took it so far from the realm of what they should have actually, like, a lot of people didn't recognize them or, you know, have a connection with them because of that. So if you have a costume that's a little bit more outlandish that you think you're like, what person's going to wear that to, you know, fight crime,
right,
or other villains?
See, like when I think of Marvel, and maybe this is wrong, but you know, when we were kids, DC to me when we were kids was the Justice League, the cartoon that was shown to us every Saturday morning.
Yeah.
It was Superman as, you know, Christopher Reeve as Superman on screen, and then a little later Michael Keaton as Batman. To me, DC has always felt very like golden age, very like, you know, colorful, and you know, the characters' costumes are bright. They always seemed more like the, you know, I don't necessarily know if stereotypical is the right word, but the stereotypical like superheroes, right? You think of like Superman, you're like red and blue and he's there and every, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
So, and Marvel to me was kind of the opposite. It was a little bit grittier.
Yeah.
Well, when we look at the MCU, it's not really all that gritty. And then when you look at the DC films, they're purposely trying to go gritty.
Yeah.
Dark, gritty,
Very
you know?
dark.
I wish they would have gone the opposite way. I wish that they were like, you know, golden age, like, you know, Superman is, you know, dun, 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 right? More like the Brandon Routh Superman Returns sort of look, you know? And, you know, Batman, of course, has always been dark, but like, you know, I think they did a good job with Wonder Woman with this. And Aquaman, not bad, you know? But Dr. Fate, I would love to just see like the bright blue and the shiny gold and have him just be like, I'm a wizard. Whatever. That's his voice. I don't know.
You see?
Yeah, see? I know magic. Yeah, that's how all Egyptian wizards sound, by the way.
I put a spell on you, see?
Eldritch Blast. All right. Good choices today, Jerry. I hope that all of these get a good treatment on screen, live action, and we can see them sooner rather than later.
Absolutely.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Them Nerds Top 5 DC Costumes. Don't forget to follow us on social media at We Them Nerds on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share our videos if you like them. Comment below. What are your top 5? Are we wrong? Are we idiots? Tell us. People don't mind telling us that.
Yeah.
You know,
that's what comments are for. Be a troll.
Yes, troll us. I mean, hey, you know, if we can get comments from, you know, girls that are telling us that they have missed us and they give us a link, you know,
I'm sure, and I'm almost positive that that's legit.
Totally. Hot singles in our area. All right, guys. See you next time. Be good. Be good to each other. Bye.